Hello everyone and welcome to another chess video. Today we'll look at a game between Capablanca versus a Mr. Chase, played in New York in 1922, where Capablanca was the newly crowned chess world champion. So this was a simultaneous game where Capablanca is playing white and Mr. Chase plays black. And to be honest, history has not been kind to Mr. Chase, because I'll reveal all now, he actually loses this game. But he has plenty of chances to beat Capablanca. So essentially Mr. Chase is considered cannon fodder, but if he managed to win this game, his name could have been up in stars for years to come. So Capablanca played 1e4, Mr. Chase played e5, and now Capablanca plays f4 into a king's gambit. And of course, Chase accepts this with e takes, and Capablanca plays a really weird move, queen f3, threatening to play queen takes f4. Mr. Chase plays knight c6, and c3 is played by Capablanca, so maybe trying to set up with d4 and e5 at some point. And here actually black is already winning. Stockfish 10 gives this as -2 for black already. A move like queen h4 for black would have been ideal, because after a move like g3, black can just play f takes g3, and after h takes, just drop their queen back to e7. And basically black is just a free pawn up. If white strikes in the centre with d4, black can play d5 and the e4 pawn is pinned. So after a move like knight d2 to reinforce it, black can simply play bishop e6 and has a nice position. Black can just castle queenside, maybe play knight f6 and just develop normally. White's kingside is an absolute wreck at the moment. After c3, black can also attempt to play d5. If e takes d5, queen e7, and if king d1, black can actually play knight to f6, threatening bishop g4 and winning the queen. White is forced to play h3, but now knight e5, and after queen takes f4, knight takes d5. Once the queen drops back, black can play bishop e6, and again black has a really nice game here. So in the simultaneous, Chase had many chances. In the game though, he played quite a standard move. He played knight to f6, possibly not the best move, but it's a developing move nonetheless. Capablanca plays d4, so trying to get this central structure going. And black is wise to this, so plays d5 to strike out. e5 is played by Capablanca, and black plays a nice move with knight to e4. Capablanca now recaptures the pawn with bishop takes f4. And to be fair to Mr. Chase, he played a really nice move here. He just played g5. So attacking his bishop on f4, and Capablanca is forced to retreat it to e3. Black had a really good chance now to attack white and gain a really nice position once again. g4 would have been a great move, because after the queen drops back to e2, black could play queen h4 now. And after g3, just take on g3 with the knight. White can't capture this due to queen takes h1, so bishop f2 is probably forced, and once black captures the queen, white can recapture black's queen, and after knight f4, let's say, black is just a pawn up with a very nice game once again, whereas white's got a wrecked kingside. So Mr. Chase could have played g4 here. Instead he opted for h5, gaining space on the kingside. Knight d2 was played by Capablanca, and now Chase played bishop g4, and this actually traps Capablanca's queen, so the queen's got no more spaces to go to. It's said that the spectators looked on in amazement as Capablanca just blundered his queen. Or did he really? Apparently someone asked him, did you really intend to sacrifice your queen here? And Capablanca simply responds, wait and see. And it turns out Capablanca did actually have something up his sleeve. Here he plays knight takes e4, and after bishop captures the queen, Capablanca plays knight to f6 check, and the king is forced to e7. If black plays queen takes f6, this is just not very good. E takes f6, and then maybe bishop e4. White can play bishop takes g5, and after rook g8 play h4, and white's got a very nice game indeed here. So white is actually a whole pawn up and has great developing opportunities, especially with that f6 pawn, a thorn in black's position. So after knight f6 check, king e7 was played by Mr. Chase, and let's just analyse what's happened here. So white's just sacrificed their queen, and after knight takes f3 it looks like it's going to be two pieces. But here actually Capablanca missed a great move. He could have played bishop takes g5 first. So, threatening maybe knight d5 check, just pinning the king against his queen. If the queen moves to c8, white can play knight takes f3. So they have two pieces and a pawn for the queen, and also threatening knight takes d5 with check. So once king d8, knight takes d5 and bishop e7, white can play knight f6 once again. And black is really struggling for moves here. In fact, Stockfish gives rook f8 as the best move. But then just bishop d3, and white just has a superior position. Black may have the queen, but white's pieces and the centre pawns are just dominant in this position. So yes, Capablanca missed bishop takes g5 here. So let's just analyse quickly after knight takes f3. So what's Capablanca got here? So he's got two pieces for the queen, and he also has a pawn. So that roughly adds up to about 7 points versus the 9 points of a queen. So you would think that white should be still losing this position, but no. There's so many threats for white. For instance, the knight and the bishop are threatening to take on g5, so black's got some defending to do. In the game, Mr. Chase played bishop h6, maybe trying to protect this pawn, but now Capablanca just takes on g5, and I don't think black wants to recapture, because after bishop takes we get into a similar position as I've just shown you, where this bishop pins this king and queen. If king f8, white can just play bishop d3, and of course knight h7 is threatened with check. After queen c8, just castle, and knight d5 is a big threat, bishop f5 is a threat, and frankly white's just dominating all the squares with these two bishops. So after knight takes g5, Mr. Chase played bishop g7 and dropped his bishop back, maybe targeting his f6 knight. And here Capablanca actually could have played a good move as well. He could have played knight gh7, reinforcing the knight on f6, so if bishop captures, just recapture once again with the knight. And black's best piece is probably off the board, at least their most dynamic piece. After queen c8, bishop d3, again, king f8 and castles. We're in a similar position as before. Knight takes d5 and bishop f5 are a massive threat. But after bishop g7, Capablanca calmly plays bishop to d3, so now has control of these white squares. But Capablanca did have something up his sleeve once again. After bishop takes f6 from Mr. Chase, Capablanca now just castles. And why does he do this? Well, it's because white's going to target f7 now and win back the bishop on f6 at a leisurely rate. For instance here, if bishop takes g5, white can just play bishop takes g5, and after king f8 captures and c4. The material is relatively even, but white's just in a better position. After c6, captures, and rook a c1, rook c7 is going to come, so knight c6 is played, and then white can just play e6 and of course pick up the pawn on f7. So after castles, bishop takes e5 could be an option, but then just comes rook takes f7. After king e8, rook a f1, bishop d6. White can start infiltrating black's position with moves like knight e6, queen c8 and knight g7 with check. King d8 is forced, and the bishops are coming in now with bishop g5. After knight e7, bishop f5, black's in a struggling position now. Queen d8 and just rook e1, and white's just going to start picking up material such as this e7 knight. So castling was actually a really incredible move for a simultaneous game. In the game, Mr. Chase played queen to g8, realising that trying to protect this bishop on f6 is a fruitless task. Capablanca takes on f6 with the rook, threatening rook takes f7 now. Rook f8 defends the f7 pawn, but Capablanca just doubles, so rook a f1. Mr. Chase plays knight d8, so all these pieces now are focused on protecting this f7 pawn, and white's focused on attacking it. Capablanca now decides it's a good time to lock down the other side of the board, so he plays b4. Queen g7 is played by black, and now a4 by Capablanca, so just consolidating on the other side of the board. After king e8, b5, black plays b6, and now the pawns are set in place on this side of the board. And Capablanca now plays bishop to e2, focusing fire on this h5 pawn, and also threatening to play bishop f3 and pick up this d5 pawn as well. Mr. Chase played knight to e6 here, and here Capablanca actually made an incredible blunder. In this game now, white should probably just play a move like h4 to protect this g5 knight. And after knight captures, bishop captures, white is still in the driving seat. If king d7, white can play bishop f3 and pick up this d5 pawn. After king c8, bishop takes, white's still in the driving seat. And I'll give you an indication, Stockfish actually gives +7 here for white's position. This is because the two rooks are useless and white's got these two nice bishops with this nice pawn structure in the centre. So after knight to e6, Capablanca should have definitely played h4 here, but instead he now blunders and plays bishop to f3. And why is this a blunder? Well, Mr. Chase now plays knight takes g5, and after bishop takes g5, black can now just play queen takes g5, and black's actually winning this game. So I'm not entirely sure why Mr. Chase didn't just take this bishop. It makes me wonder if the notation was wrong or someone was seeing shadows or ghosts. Mr. Chase should have definitely taken this bishop. I'm not sure he was worried about bishop takes d5, but there's no mates here. Because queen e3 check, king h1, and black can just start picking up pawns with queen takes c3. And even if bishop c6, king e7, there's no way for white to progress an attack in this position. So Capablanca made a devastating blunder after bishop takes g5. And history could have been completely different if Mr. Chase won this game. Instead, black now plays queen h7, which is a bizarre move. And Capablanca now just finishes black off with bishop takes d5. Black plays queen d3. And Capablanca plays bishop c6 check. And black now resigns. So why did he resign? Well, after king d8, white can play rook takes f7 with check from the bishop. After king c8, just take on f8 with check. After rook captures again, is checkmate, and there's no spaces for the black king. So all in all, this was a very topsy-turvy game. Both sides had great chances, but I just thought I'd show you this game due to Capablanca's inspirational queen sacrifice on move 9. So let's just have a quick replay. Knight takes e4, and of course this knight f6 move, and it's really the structure of white's position that wins white the game. So after knight takes f3, knight takes g5, white's structure is just incredible in this position, and just dominating black's position. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this game, thought it was very interesting. Please drop me a like and comment and subscribe if you want to watch more chess videos in the future. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.